weird item that I use for sewing and fibre arts. It isn't really a sewing or fibre arts tool. Number 1, it is a glue stick. So glue sticks are really helpful for putting fabric in a place and keeping it there, you know, like glue does. I don't know why I described it in that bizarre way, like I was an alien, but it basically glues things together. Why do we use it for fabric? Because it is water soluble and you can peel it off and re-stick it, and it is really easy to use. When you're doing pieces that have lots of little bits of fabric that you need to stick together or you need to keep, and you're working quite small, pins become a problem because it's really hard to sew around them. You can jab yourself in the finger, they weigh everything down, everything's all weird. So this is what I use. It is a glue stick. Use the ones that you just use for paper, they're water soluble. You just put a dab in the middle of your fabric. You don't need to do the whole piece because it's just there temporarily. And if you realize, oops, don't want that piece of fabric there, you just peel it off and start again. It does make the fabric a little bit stiff, but it wears off after a while and you don't notice it. Weird item number 2. This is a pencil. Use it to make marks on your fabric and not to panic if it's a mistake, because it just comes off after a while. It's sort of more permanent than one of those chalk pencils that I use quite a lot, but I don't really love how semi-permanent they are. It can rub off really quickly, so if I put something down for a while and then don't go back to it, the design disappears. So this is an HB. 2Bs are better, they're a bit softer, but they do smudge a little bit, so be careful. Why? Because do I prefer 2B? HBs are a little bit harder. They're harder to erase, the same as on paper if you've ever used an HB. But if that's all you have, it really doesn't matter. It can wash off, or you can rub the fabric together, and in that process of building friction, it disappears. Number 3, though I will say this is more or less number 2, but okay, 3 is colour pencils, but these are the lighter coloured ones, yellow and white, and they are great for dark fabric. You don't need a chalk pencil, you don't need any kind of fancy marker. If you are comfortable doing things freehand, use these, and they are great. They do crumble a bit, but they're great, and they are bountiful and plentiful and economical. They're really cheap. You just buy a pack of cheap old coloured pencils and use the yellow and the white in it, which is funny because often when you buy coloured pencils you don't use the white much, do you? I've never really fully understood what it's for, but then I'm not an artist, so if you know why, or if you use them a lot. Sorry, background noise again. Number 4, big reveal, is a clipboard. This clipboard is particularly useful because it has, I sound a bit drunk, I promise you I'm not drunk. It's got an inside, and it's got a little thing at the bottom. Now it's supposed to be for putting your pens and pencils in if you're a really good student, but I use it, I mean I do use it for that actually, but you can also put, you can't even see that, can you? There we go, la la la. You can also use it for putting, you know, a couple of needles in or whatever. The clipboard is useful for a couple of different reasons. If you're working on a piece, which is, this one is attached to that one. They don't want to leave each other. That's so cute. This is a tarot bag I'm working on. By the way, if you want to do a tarot bag workshop, be sure and check out my website, because I have one. I'm going to have one on there. So if you're working on something like this and you're not using a embroidery hoop, which sometimes I don't if I'm working incredibly small, which I do sometimes, you need some way to keep it stable while you're working. Guess what? You can do this. Look at this clip, and then you clip the fabric, la la la, and then you just kind of sew in there. Here I am sewing and I'm sewing and I'm sewing, and it's not moving, and I'm sewing. So yeah, the other great thing about it, as I said, is you can keep all your sewing materials inside. Sewing boxes, I find I don't use so much anymore. I used to love them, but now I find them a bit awkward. And also the ones that I have, I can't fit the actual embroidery hoops in them, which is a little bit annoying when you're trying to do something like of this size. It won't fit in my sewing box. I do have a little bit of a small sewing box, The other great thing is, if you're wanting to do this on the sly, for example, at work, and it's really easy to conceal it, okay? So if you're sort of going, oh, this is a really boring Zoom call, or like me, I embroider while I'm on conference calls sometimes so that I can actually focus on what people say. It really does help me. And my boss knows that, so it's fine. Then it's really helpful. You can fit a couple of hoops in there, you can fit your delicious scissors, and your big old mess of, I've got a mess of embroidery stuff here I need to figure out. So yeah, that's a really great one too. That's my favorite embroidery hack. Final one, clips. These are really helpful for clipping things. They're quite stiff and I use them to keep things in place. Yeah, clips. I mean, just clip stuff with them. There's no mystery, okay? And those are my weird things that aren't really embroidery tools, but you can still use them and they're really helpful. Bye!